Hi, this is Abul Hussein coming to you direct from London, the United Kingdom, and welcome to another episode of the SMMA Mastermind podcast, where we talk about how you can start or scale your digital marketing agency. Now, if you are watching this episode outside of our Facebook group, go to the link above or below this video or go to smmamastermind.com, especially if you are in the agency community. Now, I have a very special guest joining me all the way from West Palm Beach in Florida. Her name is Logan Ray, and she is the founder of Argon Agency. We are going to talk about her journey, the clients she works with, and how she delivers exceptional results for her clients. Logan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining me.
Of course.
Now, for the people who might be watching who have not come across you before, how about a little bit of an intro? How did you get into the digital marketing space?
So my undergraduate degree is in neuroscience. Originally, I had wanted to go into medicine, but I found a lot of my studies had to do with behavioral health and how people think and perceive. And I was able to apply that to campaigns, which made me, a really strong marketer. I found that out when I launched my first company, Bacon Boxes, and we nationalized in about 25 weeks, and just the whole branding process.
It's okay, it happens.
You're gonna turn that. I don't understand why that went there. My apologies.
It's all good.
Do you want to start? I don't know if you want to start over. You're gonna cut that out.
Sorry? No, you can start answering your question again, and then I'll cut the middle bit out.
All right. So starting over. So, okay.
Your story.
I started off pursuing my undergraduate degree in neuroscience, and through that journey, I started a company called Bacon Boxes. And while going through that process, I started gaining a lot of education in marketing. I went through an accelerator program at FAU called FAU Tech Runway, which was a 16-week boot camp. And I started getting, more certifications and picking up elective credits in the marketing area, and realized that rather than studying medicine, I was able to apply what I was learning in neuroscience to how people think and perceive different visuals or campaigns. And it definitely made what I was able to do a lot stronger.
Mm-hmm. And how did you go on to kind of found Argon?
So I was working a CMO position in behavioral health up until about July of this year. I always use Argon kind of to put freelance opportunities through there. I'd have, unbelievable deals with either NBA players or people that have like FBA businesses that were just doing tremendously well that needed, just slight adjustments. And I really wanted to work with those people, but I couldn't take on everyone. So I kind of just created Argon to, funnel them through for the meantime. But as of July, I launched it full force. I now have 60 employees. We have a core creative team. Yeah, 60. So
wow.
We just built out an office up off of Belvedere for anyone who's in the West Palm area that wants to visit us. So it's really crazy to also do that during a pandemic. So I started taking on more freelance clients in about March. And then by June, July, I was thinking about leaving my position and fully indulging in agency life and getting the foundation built and getting, again, a core creative team that was able to manage the deliverables and a sales team that was able to manage the account management and finding, new leads.
How on earth did you manage to hire 60 people in 3 months, is it?
So part of it was through a partnership. I created Argon Agency, and then I found other individuals who were freelancers that maybe were having a hard time managing 2 or 3 clients. They weren't necessarily finding themselves profitable because they were outsourcing a lot of the work, and some of it was overstrenuous. So instead, we kind of joined forces. We used their areas of expertise, and we create. I own Argon Agency, but instead, structured it to where they're an employee and they're part of like the core team. And then I partnered with somebody else as well that had a very powerful call center for different sales campaigns. So we ended up just doing one for business owners that were struggling, and it's been really great.
Right. Okay. So these employees work for you as well as working for other clients as well?
So everyone who works for Argon Agency only works for Argon Agency.
Right.
merged entirely together. Anyone who's come on the team has brought, their book of business into Argon, and we manage the books of business together.
Oh wow, okay, that's fascinating. So how do you convince other people, I suppose, to merge with you? Did you have quite a few clients on your books freelancing, or what's the magic there?
So yes and no. Like again, I was small and very niche, and I'd only take high level clients. For example, one owns a personal development series and is a public speaker, and he is very high level. He owns treatment centers, and I worked really closely with them. So it was a good ongoing salaried rate. It paid for my time and my full attention. There's very little that I would actually like outsource at that time. But as I started to get higher demands and realized that again I have a special talent in this industry and I'm able to apply it to more businesses. I started to get that urge to be like, let's dive into this. Let's jump into it. I'm really passionate for it, and I feel like it's what's next. So I have people that I've again worked with in the past doing different things in different campaigns. Somebody that I also met through the FAU Accelerator program who was working in marketing, but she has her area of expertise. I have mine. So being able to merge together, makes us both stronger. And I, had my thing that's already kind of established, coming to terms and also being, trying to be at least a fair employer. Of course, we butt heads sometimes, or of course, there's things that happen, especially in a startup community where the processes are all new. The softwares that we're using are very frustrating sometimes because we're all adjusting to them. We have clients and we're just, finding people that are like me essentially and able to pour every ounce of themselves into the campaign and make sure that what we're delivering to the client is what they anticipate getting or beyond it.
Right. Okay. So the other companies that you merged with, I'm guessing you've took on new partners as well, and it's kind of a partnership framework that you have going on there.
Kind of. It's a unique structure. They still own their separate business. Like they have an entirely separate organization where they were functioning, again, just doing lead generation. And then I have mine for services. What had happened within their lead generation was they were getting lots of requests. This is a different partnership too. They were getting lots of requests for fulfillment of the services that I offer. And after, being friends for a while, they've seen my quality of work, or they've seen things that I've worked with. They hear my name a lot in the community. They reached out to me just for a single account. And then after we met and we kind of talked it out, they were like, we already have 1,000 recurring clients. We don't offer any of these services too that, all of these people are going to want these services. How can we work together? So we've, merged and kind of split costs in different areas and figured out how to keep it separate enough to where it's, still symbiotic and like we're able to work together. But it's not like Argon's still a separate entity.
Right. Okay. That's still awesome what you've achieved in this short period of time during
it's fun.
the pandemic. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of work. So your current setup, like how many people do you have on prospecting? How many are kind of on delivery? And what does it look like in your agency right now?
So we, it's funny because prospecting comes mostly organic or through the call center. As far as like Argon agency doing any type of marketing, we right now don't at all. So, and that kind of is great because it attracts that higher level client, somebody who heard about us through somebody else that they saw that was successful. So they come to us and it's like, they don't even negotiate the rates. They're ready to sign up. So it's like, it's again, a really unique situation. It's great. But the core team is about 15 of us. And again, we have different areas. There's different levels of that. So again, through each company, they have like who does onboarding and who collects what information. And then the same way internally, we have that for fulfillment. So what information we need, who's collecting it from who, and it's a whole process and system. Then they have about 60, again, the call center is 60 and it's give or take. Sometimes there's empty seats, sometimes there's not. It's kind of just who's available to work and who actually like wants to take it seriously and work. But overall, I mean, they've had employees that have been their employees for 3 years that, love their standards and, what they were able to offer, but they did a very like small scale level of, business consulting and help, but they weren't able to actually offer products or like finalize like websites or like actual SEO services. So that was game changer for them to be able to turn to their clients and be like, hey, I know you've been asking about the solution. I have the answer.
Right. No, that definitely makes sense, kind of doing that sort of a joint venture where you kind of bring two worlds to come together to obviously offer a greater service to existing clients. In terms of your services that you are providing, is there something that you specialize in? What are you currently doing for your clients?
So myself, I would say I specialize in strategy and brainstorming and coming up with like the angles of a campaign. Like I'm able to look at a product and connect it to who the proper target market would be and figure out, on the budget that they're offering, what the best moves would be. For example, you wouldn't do a Google Ads campaign for somebody that only has, $500 to $1,000 and they're trying to reach the entire United States. It just doesn't make sense. But there's other agencies that would take that in a heartbeat and just say, oh, well, and it's not the best use for them. So that's part of the process, is just kind of giving like more of like almost, again, from a consulting perspective. We spend a lot of time before actually contracting with the clients, getting to know their business, their brand, and how they function to make sure that they're also a good fit, which helps with retention. We become almost like one, like we're part of their team. They rely on us as if we're somebody that's in their office. And it's different, again, than a lot of other agencies that just sell something that's in a box and say, okay, talk to you next month. So it's a little bit of a different structure. It can be a little bit more exhausting. It can push, even amongst our team, because we get very, 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 very attached and involved in the campaigns, to where it's like our own baby. It's like our own company. So sometimes when we have team meetings and stuff, if we're not seeing eye to eye on things, it takes a minute to kind of come to a resolution. But that's what I wanted in a team. I wanted people that literally were so invested in what we provide to our clients that that's how much they care. Like they're doing the full research. They're, making sure to do the follow-ups. They're making sure to be, due diligence, like with the legal aspects of campaigns, and also with getting the proper photography and imagery that the client's expecting.
Right. That sounds wonderful. And in terms of the industries that you're working in, I know you mentioned that you are moving into, or you like working in kind of addiction treatments. Do you specialize in any particular niche, or do you kind of take on anyone who is a good fit?
So again, there's a lot of vetting, I think, on both parts, but we'll take on anyone who's a good fit. I have a lot of different personalities on my team and a lot of different experience. So it's also about matching the right account manager, dedicated brand strategist to the company, depending on what service they're getting. If they're not a good fit, at the same time, we'll let them know, and then we refer them out to somebody who's going to be more their pace or have more of the experience that they need for their campaign. But right now it's like we're kind of all over the place. We have product companies that we work with. They are in anything from health and fitness and wellness, to supplements, to companies that are publicly traded. We have a lot of personal development and drug and alcohol treatment facilities, therapists. I have a client that specializes in coffee equipment, and I used to be on an FBA style, I guess, structure, and then has since like launched her own brand and her own website. And that's, been a whole experience. We feel like it's like our company. Half the time we have weekly meetings with her, and it's like we get just as gassed up as she does when she wins.
Right.
So
No, that's wonderful to kind of be that extension of your client. Now, what does an ideal client look like for you? What boxes do they need to tick before you will consider even doing a proposal or a presentation for them?
So the things that we look for in a relationship with a client is having like a connection where we're able to get information from them easily and able to relay information and get like an honest opinion back, so that we can get on the same page. If we can't get on the same page, it's going to be a disaster of a service anyways. So I really like clients that have, some level of certainty of like what they're aiming for, and then we kind of help their vision come to life. And again, just somebody who's very communicative, like that's a great client. We try to be ahead of the game and again offer the extra service. Their time is better spent doing what they do best. So when we offer our services, we try to again assimilate to being part of their team and giving them the full support. And I think that also makes a difference. And just having somebody, you can't do that with all personality types or all businesses. There are some people that are still very like, it's hard to get access to things that you need from them or any of their assets. And it's like, how are you supposed to, I can't be successful if somebody's not communicating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So.
yeah, that makes total sense. And I suppose literally lost the question I had for you actually. Well, it's about your growth really. You've grown quite rapidly over the last 3 months. You know, what teething problems have you experienced?
So the main problems I would say again are just like there's a lot of lack of sleep around here. But again, I have a diehard team. Like I literally have a team that like if I was going to war, like these are the people I bring with me because that's how involved they are and everything, and their heart and their soul goes into it. But that could also again cause a lot of hurt feelings and a lot of delays and things, overworking, processes and just stuff like that. So learning each other's working strategy and learning how to like work together efficiently has been sometimes a hurdle. And I wouldn't say like necessarily all the time, but at the same time, it's built a stronger team, and that's really important. Software has been a nightmare. I'm not sure if you work in any type of social media area, but as far as like finding softwares that do auto scheduling for all
Mm.
services and do it correctly, like without like reliably, I guess I should say, has been hard. We've had one heck of a time trying to figure out, which software is going to be best for our clients and again, not cause any type of glitches or errors. So, or that post to all platforms. Like you'll find a really great one, but it only posts to like 2 or 3 platforms, so they don't have a contract with the rest of them.
Hmm. And you know, at your size, obviously culture becomes quite important to ensure that you retain your people. Is there anything that you are doing to kind of make sure that people stick around?
So I'm a really strong personality. I'm the first person to admit it. It's funny, I actually like even personally like on Instagram market myself as being at least in our community like that marketing bitch, and that's my brand. Like period. Like it's more that's more my brand than Argon is. Argon's just what it is. But when everyone refers to me, it's usually that's that marketing bitch. So with that being said, again, I'm a hard person to work for. I like am the first person to admit it too, and I try to again vet really heavily and like prepare anyone that I'm working with, not client wise, of course, but like people that
Mm.
are on my team. If they're on my team, I'm going to treat you well. I'm going to go to, war for you just as much as you go for me. But it's just about having that understanding and like building more of a family out of it so that they, hopefully feel some sort of reliability like in their position, but also in their job. I want them to feel heard, but sometimes that, can be not there, but trying to backtrack and like make sure that we have that. It's a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's that's great. And in terms of one of the problems that you will see a lot of freelancers who make the jump to trying to build an agency or becoming an agency owner have is with pricing. When it comes to pricing your services, do you kind of follow specific formula, or do you've mentioned that a lot of people don't come back and they don't negotiate with you. How do you come up with the right pricing mix?
So I have a few different structures. I offer like a set, like here's some packages that are very successful for this level of business. And this is like our suggestion to, depending on what the industry and what the business is, we'll make our suggestions, but give them the full price list and say, hey, these are like what these things cost. If you do more of this is where we can like pull back on that. If you do these 2 things, then the setup cost is reduced. And we try to be really fair, like even websites, like, instead of charging someone 6, 10, 20K up front for something that's customly developed, we'll put it on a monthly plan because this is the thing about websites. Like they're never done. Like your website is never done.
Mm,
So being able to build a plan and trying to change the formula with that and let them realize like, okay, so you'll pay a setup fee and that's like the initial research and that's the like working hands-on with your team and collecting the things that we need in order to get the content perfect and the pictures perfect. And then taking that information and then building it into a monthly fee so that once we get the website live, if they need a new banner, not a problem. If they need, they have new products that they want to set up there, not a problem. If WordPress decides to update and your plugin that you've been relying on for booking appointments fails, not a problem. We'll fix it. If, any of those types of scenarios that happen and that happen a lot to business owners that ends up trashing their website, we continue to develop with them. So when we do these follow-up calls or, when we touch bases with our clients, we always try to get ahead. Are you having any promotions? Like, do you need a new pop-up? Do you need any, do you have any new photos or any new testimonials that you need added to the site? How can we be best serving them versus just taking this lump sum and then handing them a website that, you know, in 6 months to a year probably isn't going to be functional anymore.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the lessons that you have learnt on your journey that you can share with the audience?
So again, if we're talking pricing wise,
Just
some,
generally.
yeah, sometimes you overshoot, but again, I always find it best to give the client, you know, what they deserve. So if you end up a little bit over, okay, put the extra hours in, not a problem, figure it out. I think biggest lessons too are just kind of trying to stop and slow down because we're all in a hurry. There's, again, like I said, a lot of lack of sleep around here, especially in the buildup period, because we have processes that we're developing, and there's a lot of strain and stress on people that haven't been in positions like that before. And I can tell you right now too, it's like my entire team has risen up and more than fulfilled all of the roles that they were, you know, were expected of them. So in order to have a team that's that loyal, it requires, again, just remembering that everyone's human.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And we're fast running out of time. These things always finish too quick for my liking. So, final question to you is, if someone is watching this and they want to make the move, go from a freelancer to start their own agency, what's the best advice you can give them?
Well, I would tell them to call me because we can work together. No, but I just think that taking it, at least in the beginning, a little bit slow and looking at the big picture where you're trying to go or get, so that you're not making too many unnecessary turns on the way. If your goal is to be able to manage a certain number of clients, don't mess around with small agency softwares or like individual use softwares. Go for the invest where you need to, and then you'll be able to scale and grow without it disrupting your whole organization.
Awesome. Okay. Well, on that note, Logan Ray, thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate it.